Local leader to cut off India's northeastern states. India also shuts down visa center in Dhaka. Medical apathy in Karnataka remains our top focus this hour. This as a 34-year-old mechanic from Bengaluru died after he and his wife were forced to shuttle between hospitals on a bike in search of urgent medical care, allegedly facing indifference from both hospitals and passers-by along the way. The man, identified as Venkataraman, lay on the road, as you can see in those disturbing visuals. His wife pleading for help with folded hands. Cars continues to, in fact, whiz past without any help stopping by. That included cars, even a tempo, and help eventually did come from a cab driver who finally stopped to assist. But by then it was too late for Venkataraman. By the time they reached the third hospital, the 34-year-old was declared dead, leaving behind a 5-year-old son and an 18-month-old daughter. All right, getting in breaking inputs, in fact, but before that, let's also play out a report for you.
Real Life Hospital in Banshankari, Bengaluru, where 34-year-old Venkataraman was brought by his wife after he complained of severe chest pain on the morning of December 13th, around 3:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. He's complained of severe chest pain and his wife has rushed him here. This is the second hospital he was brought to. His wife first took him to another hospital that is located around 300 meters from here, where the hospital authorities are said to have told the couple that no doctors were available at the moment. Then the wife rushed the 34-year-old man here to Real Life Hospital in Banshankari, where an ECG was conducted and the doctors diagnosed that he suffered a mild heart attack. But the family claims that the hospital did not provide any initial medical treatment or provide any ambulance for the couple to move to another hospital. He was advised to be taken to Jayadeva Hospital in Jayanagar, but the family claims that neither did the hospital provide any initial medical treatment nor did they give an ambulance.
All right, staying with the story, getting in breaking inputs. In fact, the former health minister of Karnataka, Dr. K. Sudhakar, has spoken to CNN News 18's Rohini Swami with regards to this matter. He has slammed the state government for being oblivious to people's suffering. Listen in to this exclusive.
If the hospitals had been told that patients should not be turned back, we would not have lost a life today.
Absolutely, Rohiniji. See, in an emergency, time is life. When a patient walks into an hospital in distress, treatment cannot wait for any paperwork, approvals, or formalities. Delaying emergency is not just medical negligence, in my opinion. It is a moral failure. And if a patient like this collapses because treatment was denied or delayed, accountability has to be and must be fixed, in my opinion. See, healthcare is not a favor, it is a fundamental duty of the medical health system. So I think it is a constitutional and rights. It is not optional. It is a basic right of a human being to save his life.
But isn't it also
living
stringent?
in a civilized society, and if somebody is not, given a proper treatment in time, and that person succumbing because that treatment was denied for him, is really crime, in my opinion. Such facilities or such doctors or such medical staff who have denied the treatment has to be punished, has to be accountable, is what my opinion.
But Dr. Sudhakar, don't you think the onus is also on the government to have more stringent measures and laws, also asking hospitals not to do so?
See, we have laws in place. When I was a health minister, I had made this law. Ultimately, laws has to be enforced, and every citizen, every responsible individuals should be morally binding. See, after all, what is health system today? Everybody, right from doctor to nurse, we all take oaths.
Right.
If we are, irresponsible, then where the society is going?
All right, let's quickly bring in our guest on Nation at 5. I'm joined in by Prakash Belavadi, who is an actor and prominent Bangalorean. Many thanks to you, Prakash, for joining in. The popular sentiment in Bangalore today is that by denying treatment to Venkataraman, this is not just medical negligence, this is also moral apathy. I'd like your thoughts to begin with.
I'm sorry to say that I will give an unpopular view. I heard the minister, former minister speak just now. See, and I'm glad that your correspondent Rohini Swami asked him, isn't it the responsibility of the government as well? Let me just elaborate very quickly. First is that, health and education, these two, they should be binding on the government. Because, in Karnataka, I'm sure this is the same in many states of India, Kannada medium schools are shutting down at the primary level because, there are no students. There are only 5 students sometimes, and they shut down the schools. Because, poor people are paying 70 or 80,000 rupees a year and sending their children to private schools, which are not so good, in the hope that they will learn English. Now, with the taxpayers' money, if the taxpayer wants the children to be equipped with the knowledge of the English language, how can the government take a moral stance and deny it to them? I mean, this is what happens, and intellectual support, this kind of thing from the government side. It's the same thing. It's okay to blame the private hospital. But what is the framework? What are the rules? Why should it be just a moral responsibility? Why can't the government make a legal responsibility for emergency services for all hospitals or clinics or of a certain size? You can't do it to everybody. You can't do it at a private doctor's shop, for instance. But
which is very fair. Which is very fair, Prakash. But don't you think that the responsibility and the onus of this lies on both public and private entities? I agree with you that this is also a state failure, given that just days ago we were all witness to how a bureaucrat had to pay the mortuary officials to conduct his son's cremation. At the same time, these very private hospitals are running 24/7 with these big emergency banners. What gives them the right to do so when they are denying patients in the wee hours of the morning?
I don't know what gives them the right, but they have not been. There's no law that lays down, rules in such a way that they'll be forced to comply with it. We don't have. See, the government has lost the moral spine to actually dictate terms to the private providers, because the government, why would poor people, see, look, when I was in trouble, I have gone to a government hospital recently because, I trust government hospitals a lot more than I trust private hospitals for the same reasons that you people have been saying, that they're driven by money and corporate interest and so on. But I'm saying, what is the framework that forces them to do the right thing? It's because, many of these people are hand in glove with these facilities, that private practitioners and private hospitals thrive because the government has failed to provide basic health care to citizens. Why would 2 poor people rush to a private medical facility instead of a government hospital first? Because the trust is broken down in 2 ways. The trust between people and people is broken down. At 3:30 a.m., if somebody is lying on the road, you don't know if that person is drunk or you're scared to stop at that hour in a lonely street. You don't know what it is. There is no trust between people anymore. And there's a loss of trust between people and the government. People don't trust government facilities as much as they would.
Stay with me, Prakash. It's important we take our viewers through what Venkataraman had to go through at 3:30 a.m. first when he felt that unease in his chest. Remember, there were 2 hospitals which denied him entry, and it is only after the 2 locations that he had to be rushed to a third, which is when he passed away on the route to the 3rd location. Now, Udbhav Hospital is the first location where he was taken by his wife. No doctors were available at the Udbhav Hospital. And then he was taken to a second hospital, which is called or known as the Relife Hospital. This is the hospital where the ECG was conducted at Relife. It revealed that Venkataraman was at that time suffering from a mild heart attack. He was then advised to in fact be taken to the Jayadev hospital, which was a third location. Remember, his wife was accompanying him. This is when she took him on a bike to the third location. En route to the third location is when they met with an accident and Venkatraman actually collapses on the ground. And the third hospital is when, upon arrival, Venkatraman was in fact declared dead. Let me quickly go back to Prakash, who continues to stay with us. Prakash, I want to quickly bring you in on the point of public medical infrastructure versus private infrastructure. You've rightly highlighted that, yes, this is the lack of trust in the public health care, which is now directing everyone to look towards private medical health care. But then, even there is no ray of hope. Why shouldn't there be adequate laws and rules and regulations in place to govern that
Absolutely.
the timely treatment is provided?
I agree with you. There should be. So there should be a framework with guidelines where it says, if you want to start a hospital which declares emergency care, these are the minimum requirements that it should have. You should lay that down and you should implement it. It is because it's not clear. See, you see the work that the governments do here in Karnataka. I'm not targeting any party. This is the attitude of politicians. You saw how, with what a high moral tone, the previous, health minister took. But the thing is, whether it was delivered in his time is a big question. I'm sorry to say, because it is not as though it is just his fault. There's a general lack of apathy from the government when it comes to delivery of basic healthcare,
Prakash,
basic
before
education.
I let you go, let's break down the brass tacks of what we mean by basic healthcare. Expecting a timely ambulance is the least. When you're offering an emergency service, you ought to admit the patients. Why couldn't they do that? Why did Venkatraman was in fact sent to a third hospital, this when his ECG had already been conducted at a second?
I can answer that question.
Also goes on to indicate that the emergency services are over capacity.
But please let me clarify this. No hospital will have more than one or two ambulances. The ambulance service should be a city service.
And no doctor at night. And no doctor at night. The first hospital did not even have a doctor at night.
That is a problem. But the thing is, the ambulance service should be a universal service, and you should be able to dial a number and you should be able to get the ambulance. If they cannot do that, if they cannot get a vehicle at that time, it's a failure of the state. I'm really sorry to say this. This is the problem. I would blame a private practitioner or a private hospital next. I would first expect these deliveries from the state.
All right, many thanks to you, Prakash, for joining in. While deliveries from the state are expected, private also cannot rub their own responsibilities off their shoulders. But let me quickly bring in Rohini Swami also, who in fact spoke to the former health minister of Karnataka. Rohini, Prakash was also attacking the high moral ground that's being adopted by, say, Dr. Sudhakar, the likes of Dr. Sudhakar, because the question then arrives, what have the previous governments also done to sort of aid the medical infrastructure in the state of Karnataka?
Well, the question also remains is that, and what Prakash also correctly highlighted, why is it the first choice not be government hospitals? Jayadeva, for that matter, is a government-run hospital, and that was the third choice that came into picture, especially for Venkatraman. Now, what we also have to understand is this is basic apathy. The fact remains that turning away a patient itself is inhuman. In the first hospital or the second hospital, you take a practitioner's oath, a Hippocratic oath, and that is basic service to humankind. Now, number two, and more importantly, in terms of services that are provided, when you know that a person has gone through a minor heart attack, you administer immediate medication. That also was not provided to him. But the onus also lies on the governments also to initiate action, stringent action on officials, medical practitioners who do not deliver, because that's what they take their oath for, that is serve and treat people. And a more important thing is, when we already have a law, that is a Good Samaritan law, which actually takes care of people. If you have found somebody who is an accident victim, you can actually take the person to a hospital and provide treatment. And the government also gives you that kind of a blanket that does not allow you in terms of prosecution or question you or because of harassment itself, why not have a law which clearly says that you have to provide treatment at the doorstep when a person is seeking help? And more importantly, when you have you talked about emergency services and ambulance. We have now the green the signals that are given, especially for ambulances. When everything is in place, when you are unable to save a human life when you're at your doorstep, what is the use of having this whole system? The point is the onus also remains on the state government. It doesn't matter which political party is ruling it.
Okay.
It depends on the health department and the ministry to enforce it. One action should have a kind of a cascading effect on others. Only then lessons will be learned.
True. The implementation and the enforcement of all of those laws also matters. Many thanks to you, Rohini, for joining in. CNN News 18 continues to bring you voices from the ground. In fact, Afreen spoke to one of the doctors. Let's listen into what they have to say.
Ma'am, the hospital, like I said, has claimed that you have not provided initial medical treatment. Only an ECG was done and the couple was sent away. They were also not provided an ambulance. So what is the hospital's stand on this?
See, the patient came around 3 o'clock, 3:30, something like that. And as soon as the patient came, here the staffs have taken them inside emergency. They have immediately done a ECG. As soon as the ECG report came, they have showed that okay, it is an MI. So after that, whatever the loading dose we are supposed to give, we have given them and told them, see, this is what is the condition. We don't have a cardiac facility here. So we referred them to Jaideva. They didn't wait. They just rushed to Jaideva. And during this thing, since their patient was critical, we didn't even charge them anything. We just said, okay, you get well and then if you are okay, then you can come back and pay. This is what the actual scenario happened that night.
Ma'am, also about the arrangement of an ambulance, the family also claims that they did not get an ambulance. It was not provided to them. So your clarification on that?
So actually the ambulance is not right. The time they had come, the ambulance was not here. We called the ambulance. They didn't wait for the ambulance to come. So that is what has happened, and they just rushed in two-wheeler. If there was some attender other than him who would drive it, then maybe he would have reached.
All right, shifting focus, Congress veteran Prithviraj Chavan, after sparking a major controversy with his remarks on Operation Sindoor and army, remains defiant. Former Maharashtra Chief Minister, in fact, claimed that India was defeated on the very first day of its military response to the Pahalgam terror attack. He alleged that Indian aircraft was shot down within half an hour of conflict on 7th of May. Now he is demanding an inquiry into what happened during Operation Sindoor and claimed his remarks are being used to divert attention from the nuclear privatization bill currently in Parliament. The comments triggered sharp reactions from the Bharatiya Janata Party, which have accused Chavan of echoing Rahul Gandhi's anti-national views. However, the Congress has distanced itself from Chavan's statement, stating that the party will not accept any comment against the Indian Army. Congress's Harshvardhan Sakal even backed Chavan's comments, saying that the government is only trying to hide its failures behind the army. Remember, Rahul Gandhi made similar remarks in 2021 as well. Listen into the reactions.
7 तारखेला जे हवाई युद्ध अर्ध्या तासात झालं त्यामध्ये आपला टोटल पराभव झाला हे कोणी मान्य करो अगर न करो आणि त्यामुळे त्या दिवशी भारताची जी विमानं पडली त्या दिवशी सगळा भारताचा एअरफोर्स हा ग्राउंड झाला आणि त्यानंतर एकही विमान उडलं नाही. पण कुठेही विमान उडलं की पाकिस्तानचं तुमचं विमान ग्वाल्हेर असेल किंवा भटिंडा असेल किंवा सिरसा असेल तिथं वाढायची शक्यता असल्यामुळं कंप्लीट एअरफोर्स ग्राउंड झालं. ऑपरेशन सिंदूरमध्ये पाहिलं की मिलिटरीची 1 किलोमीटर सुद्धा कुठं हालचाल झाली नाही. हे 2-3 दिवस झालं ते फक्त हवाई युद्ध झालं, मिसाईल युद्ध झालं. आता पुढची युद्ध तशीच होणार आहेत. मग आपल्याला 12 लाख आर्मी ठेवायची काय गरज आहे का? मग त्यांच्याकडे दुसरं काहीतरी काम करून घेऊ आपण.
बिल्कुल सवाल नहीं उठता, सवाल बिल्कुल सवाल नहीं उठता.
हाँ जी सर,
नहीं सवाल नहीं उठता.
सवाल
मैं बात करूंगा ना डिटेल में.
माफी मांगने का सवाल
माफी का मैं
लेकिन आपके हिसाब से स्टेटमेंट गलत था क्या सर?
बिल्कुल नहीं.
लोग मीडिया में वही सब जगह ऐसे ही चला कि अपमान हुआ है.
मैं करूंगा डिटेल बात करूंगा
जी.
आई विल टॉक टू मीडिया प्रॉपर्ली.
सो आर यू अपोलोजाइजिंग राइट नाउ?
अरे आउट ऑफ द क्वेश्चन.
You are using the Indian Army, the Indian Navy, the Indian Air Force to protect India from China. If you use India's laborers, India's farmers, India's workers, you will not need the Army, Navy and Air Force to be standing over there. China will not have the guts to come inside.
All right, let's quickly go across to Yesha Kotak, who will put that into perspective for us. Yesha, the BJP has hit back strongly. They've also attacked the Congress for not just insulting, say, what happened during Operation Sindoor, but also insulting the nation's army.
Absolutely. In fact, we've seen that this very statement comes in from Congress leader Prithviraj Chavan, following which there's been constant questions that have been raised on such statements constantly being made by Congress leaders, be it Rahul Gandhi in the past or for that matter Prithviraj Chavan now. But what's important at this point is that while there are several leaders from Congress itself who've gone ahead to not back Prithviraj Chavan on this, but when it comes to Maharashtra State Chief of Congress, Harshvardhan Sakpal, he's gone ahead to support Prithviraj Chavan, saying that there's nothing wrong in the statement that he's made, and also going further to in fact mention that that a fair inquiry should be done. In fact, when we tried speaking to Prithviraj Chavan, he went further, backing his statement, saying that though his statement has been misconstrued, he'd want a clear inquiry into Pahalgam attack as well as the Operation Sindoor. Also went ahead to, in fact, blame the BJP, saying that his statement was being taken out of context so as to not discuss the nuclear bill in Parliament. Yes.
Stay with me, Yesha. In fact, let's also bring in all the voices that have spoken out on this controversy. Remember, the BJP hitting back, they remain firm that this is not just Chavan. And why would Chavan even offer an apology? Because he's echoing the very sentiments of his own party leader, that is Rahul Gandhi, because anti-national, anti-army statements have become a hallmark of the Congress party. Let's also listen in to all the voices that we are bringing to you.
पृथ्वीराज चौहान जी ने जो कल वाक्य दिया, आज वो कह रहे हैं कि वो एक गलत तरीके से कंस्ट्रूट किया गया था, लेकिन एक अटैक, पहलगाम अटैक और ऑपरेशन सिंदूर, उसमें जांच करनी चाहिए. आप एज कांग्रेस पार्टी क्या स्टैंड ले रही है इस स्टेटमेंट?
इस पे जांच अपनी जगह है, मगर इस पे जो ओपन पब्लिक डोमेन में जो चीजें है उसको लेके सरकार ने अपनी बात को रखना चाहिए.
सर, सरकार की तरफ ये भी आ रहा है कि ये इंसल्ट है डिफेंस फोर्सेस को, और पृथ्वीराज चौहान जी को उस पर जो है अपोलोजाइज करना चाहिए.
भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने हमारी आर्मी के पीछे छुपने की उनको कोई जरूरत नहीं. आर्मी को, देश के सभी लोगों को आर्मी पे नाज है. जो पीछे सवाल है वो
एनसी इंडियन नेशनल कांग्रेस नहीं है, ये इस्लामाबाद नेशनल कांग्रेस है, ये एंटी नेशनल कांग्रेस है और सेना का अपमान बन चुकी है कांग्रेस की पहचान. और ये कोई पृथ्वीराज चौहान का स्टेटमेंट नहीं है. राहुल गांधी ने भी यही कहा है. राहुल गांधी ने कहा सेना की पिटाई हो गई. राहुल गांधी ने कहा ऑपरेशन सिंदूर सरेंडर था. राहुल गांधी ने कहा सेना की क्या आवश्यकता है. तो ये सारे स्टेटमेंट्स राहुल गांधी के, इसलिए राहुल गांधी या कांग्रेस पार्टी कोई कार्रवाई नहीं करती है पृथ्वीराज चौहान पर. और ये इनका फैशन और पैशन बन चुका है कि सेना का करो अपमान, पाकिस्तान का करो गुणगान, यही कांग्रेस की बन चुकी है पहचान.
All right, with that, it's time to slip into a quick break here on Nation at 5. Stay tuned as we return with the latest news and updates.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
Then our other top focus, it's end game for the Luthra Brothers in the Goa nightclub fire tragedy. CNN News 18 also confronted the Luthra Brothers at the Delhi airport and at court, but they refused to respond to our questions. CNN News 18 questioned them for fleeing the country, why they decided to do so. Meanwhile, Saurabh and Gaurav Luthra are being taken to Goa. As you know, they are expected there in maybe moments from now. The Goa police team and the Luthras they boarded the flight to Goa. They were expected to land around 11 a.m. I believe we're going to start seeing the visuals of that very soon also, and we'll bring you all the updates on that. The brothers have been sent on a 2-day transit remand. All right, so the Luthra brothers, as I was just saying, have finally been dragged back to Goa. The Luthra brothers remain largely invisible. They remain largely invisible during this entire flight. Of course, no one was allowed to speak to them. Both the brothers hid their face throughout the flight. The Goa police had arranged the last 2 rows for the brothers to be kept. 7 Goa police officers also accompanied the Luthra brothers to Goa. No food or beverages were taken by the Luthras as they continued to hide their faces from the public, and en route Goa, they were in the back 2 rows that were assigned for them, and there were 7 police personnel who were accompanying them. Now, Simran Babbar is now joining us live. Thank you so much for joining us, Simran. Now, the Luthra brothers expected to come out any minute now. So this is what we're getting for you right now. The Luthra brothers are in Goa. As I mentioned earlier, they were expected there around 11. It's 11:07 right now. We're expected to get visuals of that also very soon. The Luthra brothers largely hid their faces, did not speak to anyone as you would expect at this point. Of course, as you know, they are on a 2-day transit remand, which was approved by a Delhi court. They are being taken to Goa, where further investigations and interrogations will take place. Remember, today is the 17th of December, 10 days since the Luthra brothers fled to Thailand after that tragic fire at their establishment. It's called Birch by Romeo Lane, which claimed the lives of 25 people, were given to understand. As and when more and more information came in and we started to peel back the layers, we've also been bringing you more information and evidence on how this particular establishment, there were so many complaints and irregularities and illegalities when it came to this particular establishment, which was built on a salt pan. They did not have the necessary clearances as well. And of course, there's a larger nexus here, and the role of members who also looked the other way and gave them this clearance, these clearances. That's in question also. Now, Simran, let me just come to you. The Luthra brothers, we're expected to see them maybe in like a few. Yesha, pardon me. Yesha Kotak is now joining us live. Yesha, let me come to you. And of course, the Luthra brothers now in Goa. What awaits them there?
So yes, around 11 was when Luthra was expected to land in Goa. What we hear so far is their flight has landed. From here, they'll be taken to Anjuna police station. Now, the distance between the airport to Anjuna police station is anywhere between 30 minutes to an hour. So maybe in next 1 hour or so, they'll be expected at Anjuna police station. So far, what we also know is that there's tight police security at Anjuna police station. They'll be kept in the the lockup at Anjuna police station, the same place where Ajay Gupta has been kept in custody. Following which, because the Goa police had sought custody, 3 days remand, transit remand by the court from Delhi, is where after by today or by tomorrow is where both the Luthra brothers will be produced before the court, where a proper police custody of the Luthra brothers would be demanded by the Goa police. Now, clearly here, this comes in as the cops are already investigating several angles in this case pertaining to Luthra brothers. This particularly because, in the investigation that the Goa police has done so far, they've already arrested Ajay Gupta, who's one of their, who's a partner who was a partner in the Birch by Romeo Lane. Apart from that, there are 5 more people who are already in the custody of Goa police. All of these are managers. So now here the further investigation will be crucial so as to understand the role of Luthra brothers and also to connect the last dot, that is Surinder Khosla, who still remains missing even after almost 10 days of the fire. Yes.
Absolutely, Yashana. I just want to go back to that point that you were making. Now, let's talk about Ajay Gupta. I want to understand what all the statements that have been recorded by Ajay Gupta. Of course, he was saying that he has no role to play here and he has no knowledge of what was really going on at Birch by Romeo Lane. I want to understand how his confessions are going to further impact this entire investigation.
Ajay Gupta, when he was being presented before the court, happened to say that he was just a sleeping partner in this. He had absolutely no role. Now, as a part of the police investigation that has come forth, we learned from our Goa police sources that Ajay Gupta in his statement said that Surinder Khosla was a person who bought the parcel of land from a local person called Pradeep Gadi Amonkar. From there, the land was then transferred to Surinder Khosla. It was from Surinder Khosla is where the Luthra brothers bought the land on lease. Here Ajay Gupta went there to say that his role was only to find financiers for that land, and in that case he had approached the Luthra brothers to finance and come up with Birch by Romeo Lane on that property. This is a statement that has been recorded by Ajay Gupta. Ajay Gupta also said that he was present in Goa when the fire had taken place, but managed to escape from there on the pretext that that he wanted to evade the law, and which is why he admitted himself at a hospital in Delhi. But he also said that it was Luthra Brothers who were present in Delhi on the night of the incident, and to evade arrest was where they also managed to take an immediate flight to Thailand. So all of these statements will be crucial. But what's further important is that Goa police can further go ahead to cross-examine all these three people simultaneously, so as to understand and get the inferences on the basis of the statements that have been recorded so far. Yes.
Absolutely, Yasha. We do know that the Luthra brothers were saying that they were in Thailand on a work trip. Of course, the onus to provide evidentiary support of that rise.
Welcome back. Getting in a news breaking exclusive. This is a mega exclusive brought to us by Security Affairs Editor Manoj Gupta on the movie Dhurandhar. Even after being banned in Pakistan over its anti-Pakistan content, the movie seems to be a huge hit in Pakistan. Pirated versions are being circulated, and the links of the movie are available on many sites, including the torrents. Pakistan's social media accounts run by ISI and ISPR are using mini clips to mock India. The fifth generation digital media AI warfare account is in fact manipulating the content of the movie as well. Let's quickly go across to Major General Shashi Asthana, who's a defense expert, also joining in. Major General Asthana, what is your reading of this? Is the ban in fact even working? Because it seems that Pakistan is only interested in lapping up this movie, as is already suggested by the torrents and the pirated versions that are being consumed by the Pakistanis.
See, Pakistan seems to be in anger only because Pakistan is actually more chaotic than what has been shown in the movie. So they are trying to somehow discredit the movie with whatever it has shown.
No, Major General Asthana, I want to correct you there, because the Pakistanis are lapping up the movie, which is very apparent from the pirated versions that are being consumed by them. It is the ISI and the military establishment which is clearly rattled by the popularity of the movie.
Yeah, certainly. When I say Pakistan, I'm actually referring to Pakistan military and the ISI. So they are the ones who are rattled, and they are the ones who are trying to somehow manipulate the movie and getting involved into illegal acts, because piracy itself is an illegal act, and more than that is then thereafter manipulating it by using AI. So these two things which they are trying to do is basically to sell their narrative to their people that it's not as bad as it appears to be. So the fact is that there is no doubt that the movie has shown a perception, and it's a creative activity, and in that creative activity which is being picturized in a manner that it appears to be it's a message, and I think this message is hurting ISI and Pakistan military.
So Major General Asthana, do you also think that Dhurandhar has also become that talking point which is making it amply evident that the ISI and the military establishment in Pakistan will resort to any methods, even if it is to resort to AI warfare, to make a point and to send out anti-India messages, say through a movie like Dhurandhar in this case?
Certainly, it is now being used as a social media tool. Now, the social media tool will be used both ways. I mean, you have the information warfare is offensive content and defensive content. So now from defensive content, they can use snippets of the pirated movie to suit their narrative and use it as an offensive content too. So this is a kind of information war. And in this information war, they are going to play it the way they are, it suits them. And the way they can put some kind of face in front of their domestic audience.
Oh, absolutely. And it has really not stopped the Pakistanis from consuming this movie, so much so that even low resolution versions of Dhurandhar are selling like hotcakes even on torrent. Many thanks to you, Major General Asthana, for joining in. We shift focus over to Bangladesh. India's External Affairs Ministry has summoned Bangladesh's High Commissioner following what it called an open threat issued by certain groups against the Indian High Commissioner in Dhaka. The move also comes amid recent developments, including a controversial remark made by an NCP leader that suggested the detachment of India's northeastern states, often referred to as the Seven Sisters. This follows India's strong response last week to a statement by Bangladesh's foreign ministry, which India has firmly rejected. India has reiterated that it has never allowed its territory to be used against the people of Bangladesh after Dhaka alleged an Indian link to a recent killing. Let's quickly bring in our guest also on that note. I am joined in by Ambassador Veena Sikri, who is a former Indian High Commissioner to Bangladesh. Thank you so much, Ambassador Sikri, for joining in. If I could quickly bring you in on this repeated remark on Seven Sisters. Say, we've time and again seen how Bangladesh continues to rile up India when it comes to, say, the issue of the Seven Sisters. There is perhaps no issue which is currently being made, whether it is by Muhammad Yunus himself and now in this case an NCP leader as well.
Well, these remarks on the Seven Sisters and the northeastern states, these have been made repeatedly right from the first day. I think from the day that Sheikh Hasina left Dhaka, and there were these so-called processions and so on throughout the city, and all the people then, even that time, they were saying, oh, now we're going to go to Arunachal Pradesh, now we'll go on holiday in, Assam, etc. So they have been using their so-called, what they think is their access and what they're going to do with the Seven Sisters as a weapon. They've been weaponizing that. We've taken it up many times with the Bangladesh government. When Muhammad Yunus went to China and made those provocative remarks about the Seven Sisters, northeastern states, to the Chinese business community, at that time we took it up very strongly with the Bangladesh government. But now we've seen that every politician, now they're going to, in the run-up to the elections, all the political meetings.
I was about to come to that, the timing of this, because remember, many liberals in Bangladesh believe that the elections are only going to be a facade, because on that very day when the elections take place, there will be a referendum which, as we all know, is going to ensure that the extremists prevail in Bangladesh. Do you see that all of this is part of that larger strategy which many in Bangladesh believe is to turn Bangladesh into a caliphate?
Well, that is the objective of the Jamaat-e-Islami. It is the Jamaat-e-Islami that is behind Muhammad Yunus. Jamaat-e-Islami is the force behind Muhammad Yunus, making all the decisions, and they are doing their best to come into power. And yes, you're right, their objective as declared by many among themselves, publicly in meetings and on various social media sites, they want a caliphate, they want an Islamic state. Now, in the process of that, because the people of Bangladesh do not accept this at all, and it is very evident that a good proportion, 30% or more, do not at all subscribe to this kind of ideology. So they're trying to blame India for everything that's going wrong. They thought that they will have a very smooth sailing and that there will be complete acceptance of whatever ideology they want to impose. But in the way it is turning out, the way the election rallies are being run, the way the positioning is, Muhammad Yunus regime is not popular at all. And so they have this plan to blame India for everything. And many are saying now they will also possibly cancel the elections, blaming it again on India. So this is a very devious game being played. I'm very glad our government has taken it up so strongly and has made it very clear that this is unacceptable. India has the closest relations with the people of Bangladesh, and we want to continue those relationships. But they are creating anti-Indianism as part of their own, own game plan to introduce an Islamic caliphate. And actually the people are now saying more and more that it was better earlier. They don't accept what Muhammad Yunus is doing.
Many thanks to you, ma'am, for joining in with those precious insights. Afraid we'll have to shift focus over to Uttar Pradesh. A shocking incident has come to light from a village in Shamli district of Uttar Pradesh, where a man allegedly killed his wife and two daughters over a family dispute and clothing-related anger, precisely a burqa. According to police, the woman had gone to her parental home after a disagreement with her husband and was refusing to wear the hijab. Enraged, Farooq allegedly shot his wife and elder daughter and strangled his younger daughter as well. He then buried all three bodies in a pit in the courtyard of his house, originally dug for a toilet. Listen in to the ground reports.
Cops are looking all the angles, and prima facie it seems that he was very angry when his wife left the place without wearing burqa, and I am at the spot where he actually dug a pit and buried all 3 bodies inside it. So now it is on your screen. You can see that he alone, Farooq, the main accused, he alone dig this. This is approximately 10 feet deep, and he alone dug this pit, and first he killed his wife, and later after the gunshot a daughter was wake up, and she came at the spot, and Farooq also shot another the daughter, and later after the shot of the bullet another daughter heard that sound, and he also killed the second daughter. So after killing all 3 2 daughters and mother, he buried them inside this pit. So certainly this is the place where Farooq asked his wife to have a cup of tea with him on 9. So after 5-6 days, cops got information from the Pradhan of the village, and he told him that the wife and 2 kids are missing from this village, and Farooq has told them that they just left the place without telling anything. After the strict interrogation with Farooq, cops got to know that Farooq has killed his wife and 2 daughters. After he got to know that his wife left the place without wearing the burqa, and it happened almost a month back. He was very angry with that, and he primarily he decided to kill his wife, but since the 2 daughters were also witness to that, so he killed them also. आप यहाँ पे इतने लंबे समय से रह रही हैं, तो कभी ऐसा कोई आपने कोई दबाव महसूस किया या कुछ ऐसी बात की बुर्खा पहनना बाहर निकलते वक्त एकदम ज़रूरी है?
बुर्खे से मैं रहती, बाहर नहीं जाती हूँ। जब अपने घर जाती बुर्खा उड़ कर जाती, और कहीं नहीं जाती, बुर्खे से ही जाती।
तो आपको लगता है कि ये जो फारूक ने 2 बच्चियाँ मार दी और अपनी बीवी को दफना दी, ये बात आपको कब पता चली?
जी बच्चों ने बताया था कि किराए पर छोड़ रखे श्यामले, हम घर बना में हम, मुझे पता नहीं, एक दिन पहले जा रही थी। आप मेरी साल हो गया, हम जावन थे, लड़ाई हुई थी हमारे से, ना बोल रहा था ना हम उधर जावे थे। बच्चों ने बताया, मैं चल छोड़ रखी हूँ, किसी के सामने नहीं लगता। पता नहीं हमें 2 दिन बाद बताया, आगे 3 दिन इन्होंने बच्चों ने बताया। फिर उसने परसों कपड़ों में आग लगाई उनके पहनने के।
वो हमारे चाचा का लड़का है, मैं उनके ताया की लड़की हूँ। उसके घर पे कोई नहीं आता जाता था जब से उसकी शादी हुई। यहाँ तक अगर हमारे परिवार में शादी हुई या मौत हुई, कुछ भी हुई, 15 दिन पहले हमारे भाई का भी इंतकाल हुआ, जब भी वो हमारे घर पे भी नहीं आने दी उसने।
तो ऐसा क्यों था?
बस पहले से ही जब से शादी हुई किसी से भी नहीं मिलने देता था। यहाँ तक कि कोई रिश्तेदार में कहीं भी आना जाना कुछ नहीं था उसका।
किसको नहीं मिलने देता था?
उस अपनी घरवाली को भी और बाहर वालों को भी, यहाँ तक कि उसे किसी से नहीं और किसी को उससे नहीं मिलने देता था।
जो बच्चे और बीवी इतने दिन तक नहीं थे, उसने कहा कि शामली में किराए पे रहे।
यही तो शक के आधार पे। तो फिर जब उसने कपड़ों में आग लगाई, उसके बड़े लड़के नहीं, फारूक के लड़के ने जब इनको बताया कि बड़ी अम्मी अब्बू जी ने, अम्मी के भी और जो 2 बहन थी उनके सारे कपड़ों में आग लगा दी। उसके बाद फिर इन्होंने शक हुआ, शक के आधार पर उसने फिर अपने हमारे चाचा को, इनके दूसरे और लड़के हैं उनको बताया, उनके पूछने पर फिर उसने जहाँ जहाँ बताया सारी जगह लेकर गए उसे।
उसने घटना स्वीकार कर ली। पुलिस को मौके पर ला के डेड बॉडी बरामद करा दे, डेड बॉडी निकल चुकी है। इसमें हम लोग डेड बॉडी को पीएम के लिए भिजवा रहे हैं, और फारूक हमारे हिरासत, उससे हमारी डिटेल और पूछताछ हो रही है। उसने पूरी घटना कारित करना स्वीकार किया है। उसके फादर जो दाऊद है, उन्होंने पूरी घटना बताई कि साहब मुझे शक था कि कुछ घटना इसने कारित की है, इसलिए मैंने प्रधानगिरी पुलिस को बताया था। जो आला कत्ल है वही बरामद हो गया है, कारतूस बरामद हो गया है, डेड बॉडी बरामद हो गई है। घटना का लगभग मोटिव भी क्लियर हो गया है इसमें। तो मुझे लगता कि एक झूठी शान के खातिर कि हमारी पत्नी बिना बुर्के के, बिना नकाब के चली गई, अभी पहला मोटिव तो यही निकला है, लेकिन और भी हमारी पुलिस इसमें बातचीत कर रही है, कहीं कोई और भी इसमें एंगल ना हो उसके पत्नी की हत्या का। इस बात को लेकर हमारी जांच इसमें चल रही है।
All right, so the case has nearly been cracked, as you can hear from the cops over there. Let's quickly go across to Ankur Sharma, who has been tracking that story for us. Ankur, yet after the case being resolved, the entire mystery being resolved, there are some very, burgeoning questions that remain unanswered. One, that can a Muslim woman under, say, the Muslim personal law be denied the right to choice? Why is there no condemnation now coming in from the Uttar Pradesh opposition or even the Muslim clerics?
Yes, certainly. So in this particular matter, a man thought that his respect is attached to basically the burqa, and if his wife would not wear burqa, then it will dent the respect in the eye of the society. But that was not actually the case. When we visited the whole village, we found almost 80% women were roaming around without wearing burqa. So certainly it was a pre-planned bizarre murder where a man took the life of his wife, and after, he saw that two of his daughter witnessed the murder, and then he shot them also and strangled another one. So certainly it is, it's very bizarre. In fact, we spoke to several people, locals also, the senior citizen, the other young people also. They were also telling us that yes, this was wrong. Women can wear whatever they want to.
All right.
So certainly
we'll have to leave it at that, Ankur. Thank you for
bizarre.
sharing all those important details with us. With that, we're slipping into another quick break. Stay tuned to CNN News 18 as we return with the latest here on Nation FM.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
Let's now shift focus and talk about what really has happened in Bengaluru. A 34-year-old mechanic from Bengaluru died after he and his wife were forced to shuttle between hospitals on a bike in search of urgent medical care, allegedly facing indifference from both the hospitals and passerby along the way. The man, identified as Venkat Raman, lay on the road. In fact, he was in a lot of pain because he was diagnosed with a mild heart attack that he had suffered. And this happened for several minutes as his wife is seen in these visuals that we are putting out, pleading for some help to any vehicle that is passing by with folded hands. And there you can see that visual, and that is a kind of apathy that is on display over here. Wife with folded hands trying to plead to each and every person possible to stop a vehicle and take and ferry her husband. Cars continue to pass by without stopping. Help eventually did come, but it was too late as this cab driver who finally stopped to assist, but Venkat had succumbed to that heart attack. Now, by the time they'd reached the hospital, the 34-year-old was declared dead, leaving behind a 5-year-old son and an 18-month-old daughter.
I'm standing outside Real Life Hospital in Banshankari, Bengaluru, where 34-year-old Venkat Raman was brought by his wife after he complained of severe chest pain on the morning of December 13th. Around 3:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. he's complained of severe chest pain and his wife has rushed him here. This is the second hospital he was brought to. His wife first took him to another hospital that is located around 300 meters from here, where the hospital authorities are said to have told the couple that no doctors were available at the moment. Then the wife rushed the 34-year-old man here to Real Life Hospital in Banshankari, where an ECG was conducted and the doctors diagnosed that he suffered a mild heart attack. But the family claims that the hospital did not provide any initial medical treatment or provide any ambulance for the couple to move to another hospital. He was advised to be taken to Jayadeva Hospital in Jayanagar, but the family claims that neither did the hospital provide any initial medical treatment, nor did they give an ambulance.
And this is the exact reason why we are terming this as humanity failing Venkat. Here's what really happened and how a 34-year-old young life was lost. So 3:30 a.m. we are learning that Venkat complained of chest pain while he was at home. This is wee hours of that ill-fated night when he complained of chest pain. He suffered a minor heart attack as per officials. This was in fact brought to light at the first private hospital where there were no doctors available, by the way, where the wife somehow managed to take Venkat to, and then she was
in fact forced to ferry Venkat. Despite reaching a first hospital, there was no first response that was given to Venkat, despite they seeing that there was an emergency that had come into the hospital. They shooed the couple away. Then the wife has to ferry Venkat to another hospital where this ECG is conducted on Venkat, by the way, and that's when it is ascertained that he had suffered from a minor cardiac related issue. Now, the private hospital did not even initiate an emergency treatment, remember. This is the second hospital where the wife took her husband to, and that's when the ECG was conducted, but nothing was done after that. Now, this was the private hospital not even bothering to either taking Venkat to a nearby hospital where there can be a facility that can be given to him, and neither was an ambulance provided to Venkat. And the private hospital advised to take Venkat to Jayanagar Cardiovascular Sciences Institute, and they did not bother to show any kind of initiative or help the wife to ferry Venkat to that very hospital. The couple then leave on a bike, and Venkat, by the way, who's suffering from that cardiac arrest, is the one who's riding that bike with his wife's pillion. You can see what really has happened over here. The bike then topples over because Venkat is in so much pain, and this is the CCTV that we've managed to access. He meets with that little accident and then falls on the road, lays by the side of the road, writhing in pain. And the wife, you can see, trying to plead to each and every vehicle that is passing by to stop, help her husband. And that's when he has died. Eventually, there is one cab that does stop for Venkat and his wife, but it was too late. He's declared brought dead to that next hospital, a third hospital that the wife had to eventually take her dead husband to. That is the state of affairs, and that is what we are terming it, humanity dying a death with Venkat there on that road in Bengaluru. My colleague Afreen, who is with us on the broadcast, she is the one who's tracking the story from the very onset. She's joining us. Afreen, we have just narrated for our viewers exactly what really happened on that ill-fated day, and eventually Venkat not finding any kind of emergency medical help, finally succumbing to that minor heart attack. The 34-year-old could have been saved. The hospitals that the wife managed to take Venkat to, you have visited those hospitals.
Welcome back. A 34-year-old mechanic from Bengaluru died after he and his wife were forced to shuttle between hospitals on a bike, this in search of urgent medical care, allegedly facing indifference from both hospitals, even the passers-by. As you can see on the visuals we are flashing on your screen. The man, identified as Venkat Raman, lay on the road, writhing in pain for several minutes. As his wife begged and pleaded for help with folded hands, cars continued to pass by without even stopping. Help eventually came from a cab driver who finally stopped to assist, but by then it was too late. By the time he reached the hospital, the 34-year-old was declared dead, leaving behind a 5-year-old son and an 18-month-old daughter. Now, important to highlight that Venkat Raman had been sent away from 2 hospitals. It was on his way to the third that he eventually succumbed. News 18's Afreen also spoke to the victim's wife. Listen in to her ordeal.
I'm joined by Rupa K, the wife of 34-year-old Venkat Raman, who lost his life while shuttling between hospitals, while passers-by did not stop to help the pleading couple on the road. I'm joined by his wife, I'm joined by his sister, both of them here talking to me about what exactly happened on that unfaithful night, what exactly happened at the hospitals, what exactly happened on the road when she was pleading for help, and none of the passers-by stopped to help this couple. Ma'am, on the night, what exactly happened? How did it begin? What is the sequence of events? Please tell us.
From morning 3:30, this incident has happened. He was paining more. It was paining more. So what he done? He vomited. After vomited, he went. I told to him, I'll call a sister, but he didn't wait. He took his scooty and he went out. I'll go to hospital. If you come, you'll come or no? I don't want. I'll go to hospital. After that, I went to hospital. I went with Udba hospital, but the duty doctor was not there. After that, hospital of security, he told that go to Real Life Hospital. We went to Real Life Hospital. They took ECG and all. After taking ECG, my husband asked him, you give any treatment for this or you give any tablet? But they didn't give. They asked also whether you came, how did you came? They asked. He said we came from two-wheeler, but they didn't give any ambulance facilities also. After that, they told to go to Jaydev Hospital. We went to Jaydev Hospital. In Kadrinalli Circle, he got an accident.
He was driving.
Yeah, he was driving. When he was driving, got accident. After that, I'm begging all of them, but no one helped me. After that, lastly, after 5 to 10 minutes, his sister came. After that, she gave CRP and all. After CRP, he didn't wake up. After lastly, one cab driver came and stopped. After that, he took and went for Dayananda Sagar Hospital. In that Dayananda Sagar Hospital, so they took ECG in car only. They didn't took and went inside of hospital also. They took in car only. Yeah,
ma'am. When the ECG was done and they said that it was a mild heart attack, the second hospital, did they provide any medical help? Because I spoke to the hospital right now before coming here. They said that they've given a loading dose or something. They've right.
Right. No, ma'am, they didn't give anything. Right. Just they saw ECG. He paid.
Staying with the story, getting in more breaking inputs. This is a CNN News 18 exclusive. Karnataka's Health Minister Dinesh Gundu Rao has spoken to CNN News 18, said that action will surely be taken in the case of medical negligence which took the life of the young Venkat Raman. Listen in to this exclusive.
What I'd like to ask you is, there's been this very specific case of Venkat Raman, who was denied medical assistance in 2 hospitals on his way to Jayadeva. He collapses and dies. His wife pleads with people to ask for help, but nobody turns around. If stringent actions have been taken, isn't the onus also in the state government to take actions on these hospital and doctors who do not, who turn away patients because they have taken the Hippocratic oath of service of humankind, but they do not do so? What action will you take?
No, firstly, I think we'll just look at the whole sequence, what exactly happened. I've read this story and I'm aware of some extent what has happened. But basically, 2 things is we have under our medical laws, KPME Act, which states that in any emergency, people should not be turned away from the hospital. So they should be given treatment. So that is also there. But I think also you need to look at which hospital they went to and what kind of doctors they had and what specialty they had. And if they did, I believe that the ECG was done and then they referred them to Jayadeva. So whether the hospital itself could have treated them or not. So this needs further investigation. And if any negligence was there by the concerned hospital, then definitely we will take action. So I've told our officers and department people to take a look at this and find out exactly what happened. And subsequent to that, I think if a hospital has failed in its duties or has been negligent, then definitely there are certain laws in place where we can take, where they are liable for action to be taken on them.
You are saying that under the KPME Act, no doctors should be turning away patients, especially. You're talking about specialty. But the fact also remains that when initially a person comes and an ECG is conducted and the person says he has undergone a minor heart attack, is also the fact that 2 hospitals, it needn't be whether it be a government or a private hospital, but they have turned the patient away. Itself, doesn't this ask for action to be taken against those hospitals?
Yes.
Good evening, you're watching Plain Speak with me, Poonam Burde. Political double standards are not new, and tonight it's about women's rights. On one side, you have Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar slammed by sections of the opposition over a controversy he quoted yesterday. And on the other is a deafening silence from that very same ecosystem, from those very same voices over a shocking killing in Shamli in Uttar Pradesh, where a Muslim woman was murdered allegedly for asserting her choice. While many were quick to question Nitish Kumar's actions, rightly so, they're conspicuously quiet tonight when it comes to condemning a brutal crime that raises serious questions about women's safety and their autonomy. So tonight on Plain Speak, we ask, is this selective outrage? Is this principle, or is this merely politics of convenience? Because at the heart of this very debate lies a fundamental question.